Hey everyone, Rick with Rick's 1 through 5th scale models with another quick project. What I'm going to be doing today is taking this AFV Wiesel that I built in a German Bundeswehr version, and I'm going to be taking enamel paints and creating the weathered oxidation look, and then taking chalks and highlighting the rest of it to create more of that water oxidation, muddy European look you'd get in the winter. Not necessarily the mud buildup, but you're going to get a lot of the road grime and everything else that you would see. Now the vehicle itself is painted in Tamiya acrylics, and it's been sealed with Tamiya clear flat acrylic, so it's protected from me going about the process of doing the streaking on the sides. But once this is done, I'm going to have to seal it up again, and that'll kind of clean it up and finish it off. So let's get started with the project. Initially I'm taking enamel paint, which is a clear flat. I'm using a light gray, and I'm going to put little daubs of it in different locations. Then I'm going to take a soft brush and put clean enamel on it and slowly brush that downward. That'll create the streaking look you can kind of see developing here. The idea is to slowly work on it, build it up, coming back and forth, maybe letting it dry a little bit to get the effect you want. The other thing you can do here is, if you get the brush a little wetter, when you daub it on, you'll see it kind of spreads out a little more and creates more of an oxidized look. Let gravity work with you on this one, and take your time. It's a great effect. It doesn't take a lot to really make a model jump out. This is another location I'm doing. I've elevated the vehicle in such a way to where the gravity is really working with me here. I get the paint on, and then I'm going to follow it up with the enamel thinner again. But like I said, here I'm letting it a lot wetter to let it really run down the vehicle to create that oxidized look that you'd see from most vehicles, especially the flat vehicles. They seem to oxidize and streak more. Now I'm taking a light brown wash, and I'm putting little daubs here and there, and then I'm going to follow it up again with some clean enamel to let it spread out a little bit and really fill in the cracks and highlight. You just slowly work your way around the vehicle, looking for areas you know the water would collect the dirt more, and that effect. This is one of those, as you do it, you'll see gravity kind of makes it want to collect at the bottom. What I do at this point is I'll take a little Q-tip and I'll kind of dab up that big puddle on the bottom, and that'll help it even out. The other thing you can do is lay the vehicle on the side so it spreads out evenly. You wouldn't see the settling there, because as the wheel turns, it would naturally pull it around and then drain off. I slowly but surely just continue building up areas, highlighting locations. Once again, like I said, this is an effect that just takes a little bit of time to play with. One of the nice things about it is, if you do get a little bit extra on in some location, you can either take a Q-tip and kind of clean it off, and or you can just take a lot of enamel and just the thinner and kind of wash it off. It'll spread out a lot more. On the back side of the vehicle, I'm making sure I get a good puddle kind of draining downward. As you can see, that's an effect you'd naturally see from the vehicle moving down the road, especially with the dirt here. I'm making sure it puddles up a lot, because once it dries, it won't be nearly as thick, but it'll definitely create that look that you would naturally see. The other thing you're going to see on the back of these vehicles are where the fuel is put in. What I'm using is a black wash there to kind of create that effect. Next, I'm taking chalk, and I'm taking a razor blade and scraping it into a little cup to be able to utilize it. I usually take and mix a couple of colors to kind of create the effect I want. I'm using a brush that's fairly soft but a little stiffer, and I'm just liberally painting the chalk on the sides. This is one of those other effects that with the right brush and the right texture you can make it stick. If not, it doesn't really want to stick much. I'm making sure I hit all the areas that you're going to see it collecting on, really giving it a good dusting. This will really bring out some of the highlights of the vehicle and make it jump out really nice. The biggest thing to watch here is make sure you don't push too hard, because you'll end up just highlighting the high points, which kind of creates an unnatural look if you do it wrong. I have a stick stuck inside the vehicle to hold it down while I do this because it's such a small model. The last thing I do is I take an air pressure can and lightly squeeze air to kind of rub it off. Now I'm taking a white glue, a 50-50 mixture with water, mixing it up really good to create kind of a lightweight thing, and then I'm going to use some excess camo netting I had from AK from a prior leopard build I did, and I'm just kind of laying it on the vehicle, making sure I pull it tight to stretch it out to give it the realistic look, and then I'm going to follow it up with the glue, lightly painting it on to make it stick, and then following it up with a pretty liberal amount to hold it in place. This is one of those also with these camo nettings, you want to have it a little tattered and tore up. That creates a more realistic look. I'm really happy with this AK product. I'm definitely going to be using it for further models. It really does make the model jump out and creates a really neat effect. Once again, just kind of laying it out, pulling it on, and hitting it with some glue to hold it in place. It takes about 24 hours for this to dry, and once it dries, it pretty much goes flat. But at the end of all this process, what I will do is hit it with some flat. The other thing I learned to do is after I've painted on, sometimes you get bubbles. Well, if I take the compressed air can and lightly blow air on it, it pops all that and makes the glue not so visible. Lastly, I'm putting the camo netting up on the siding system and the barrel. These are things you'd always see them doing, especially things that stick up higher. This is the completed process. I'm just kind of fine-tuning some of the areas to make it look and lay out a little more realistic looking. Once it dries, it's really stable, but when it's wet, it's really kind of challenging as far as it wants to go every which way and fall off. But like I said, I'm very, very happy with the product itself. It's definitely makes the model a lot nicer looking. Lastly, I'm adding some little bits of rubbish, this to simulate leaves laying on the vehicle and some of the debris you'd see sitting there. One of the nice things about the camo netting is you can take little bits like I just did and lay them in holes to fill voids. It's unnoticeable, but it definitely, you don't waste any material and it looks pretty sharp. Now I'm going to take some green moss and simulate like a pine tree or fir tree of some type, the foliage that they always added to these vehicles to kind of make it blend in. I'm not doing a heavy coating, but just enough to highlight everything and go about it. Bundeswehr have done many different ways of doing this. They use pieces of cloth, tan, white, different types of foliage that are natural to the area they're working within to make the vehicles blend in. Ever since World War II, they've been very big into this camouflaging technique, and I think they have it down pretty good, so I'm trying to simulate it here. So here's the completed model built. As you can see, I've added some netting that would be AK brand leftover from leopard. I put the camo netting on. I also added some moss to simulate like a pine tree branches. I've covered up different things. You'll see pictures of them covering. You can see I've added the dust, a little bit of road wear, nothing really over the top, so he doesn't detract too much from the vehicle, but brings out some of the details of this kit. Like I said, if you look at pictures of these and deployed, they a lot of times will not have anything down here around the wheels, because obviously it can get caught in here and pulled into the tracks and either foul the track or just rip the camouflage netting off. I also took a pencil and in this area rubbed the edges to create that shiny look that you get from the tracks. These are kind of a rubber track, so it definitely will polish the bogey wheels. Also added some shininess to the rearview mirror, or the periscopes, I mean. And just a little bit of dust in the back, some road grime. Like I said, I was not looking for a really heavy look here, just a highlighting. Overall, it came out real nice. Spent about 2.5 hours on this whole thing. The model itself was built, like I said, so just adding on the extras and making it look a little dressier. Finishes it off nicely. The only thing else I could do would add some figures and put it on a diorama, and I think it would look real sharp. So that's my quick little tutorial on kind of doing some modifications to an already completed model. It came out real nice. Any questions or comments, please reach out to me. You can also reach me on my Facebook page or email me. All the comments and criticisms are welcome. Just keep them nice. Always looking for ways to improve. Anyway, everyone take care, happy modeling, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.